everybody. Today I'm going to explain to you a little bit about three-part communications and how it applies to the speeches in the papers. I got some feedback that not everybody was understanding and grasping all the components. So what we're going to do is we're going to use one of the upcoming assignments and we're going to build an outline together. And I'm going to show you the key components of the three-part communication so you understand what it is that we're looking for. And remember, this applies not only to the papers that you're doing right now, but they're going to apply, same rules apply to the speeches that you do when you come in-house. So let's first look at the upcoming assignment of the position paper. So please read the entire assignment before you do it, but I want to focus primarily on 10A, B, and C, where it says main point 1, main point 2, and main point 3. These are highlighted: background information, discussion, and recommendation. This is required information that must be in your paper. So there's a few spots that you're going to have to put it in there, and if you don't have it in there, you're going to see things like missing a main point in your overview or in your transition sentence. So we're going to shift over and we're going to look at an outline and we're going to start building it. So I've already picked our topic. The Coast Guard should have a mandatory PT test. Remember, it's important to pick something very specific that you're going to write about. So what we're going to look at first is you need to have an introduction. And the introduction has the 3 steps: the attention getter, the motivation statement, and the overview. So the attention getter is literally something to grab your attention. So if I were to write, Imagine being in the military for 20 years and not doing a PT test. We're a military audience, so that would probably be appropriate. It would do the trick of grabbing your attention, so that way you're going to want to move on to the next step. And then your motivation statement should answer 3 questions: who, what, and why. So who is who you're talking to. So for this one, we'll do the Chief Petty Officer's Mess. And just like I said, that is who. And then what, we're going to say should understand the importance of physical fitness. And that right there fits the what. The what is should understand something. And then we're going to answer the why. And usually if you start out with the because word, because is a great indicator to say this is what we're going to talk about. Should understand the importance of physical fitness because it provides a sound reason for implementing a mandatory PT test. And the overview. This is where those 3 main points are super duper important. You have to use those exact words. So for this, we're going to write a paper about the PT test. I don't think it's overview. It's discussion. I'm sorry. We'll cover the background information. Okay, so the overview. This paper will cover the background information, give a discussion, and recommendation for implementing a mandatory PT test in the Coast Guard. If your overview does not have those same words in there, you are not correct. So you must make sure that you use them. So if I were to give a speech on this, it would be something like, imagine being in the military for 20 years and not doing a PT test. The Chief Petty Officer Mess should understand the importance of physical fitness because it provides a sound reason for implementing a mandatory PT test. Today I'm going to explain the background, give a discussion, and provide a recommendation for implementing a mandatory PT test in the Coast Guard. Now, when you write it, just take those 3 sentences and smash it together into 1 paragraph. Don't add anything else. 3 sentences for the introduction. 3 sentences. Now, when I give you feedback for your paper, some of you might see that you need a filler sentence, but start with 3 and then we'll go from there. So in background information, I'm going to say things like just information about how the Coast Guard doesn't have one. I'm not really going to get into that right now, but this is what you need to have on your outlines. Make sure you have the introduction, that main point, and then we're going to need the transition sentence. Now, the transition sentence is another place where you need to use the main points verbatim. You notice that transition sentence. Now that the background of the Coast Guard PT program has been covered, it leads to a discussion of how it affects the service. Background, discussion. If you don't have both words, you have a partial transition or no transition at all. Those are mandatory when you are doing this. And then I'm going to skip the discussion part because that's written in there and it's going to be specific to your different assignments you're going to do. And then we're going to do this last transition sentence. So now that the discussion of the effects of no PT test has been explained, this paper will provide a recommendation to implement a mandatory PT test. Again, discussion, recommendation. They are required. They must be in there. Now, the conclusion. This is the other area where people have struggle with. So conclusion, let's just do it this way. I want you to watch what I'm doing here. Copy that. Put that there. Guess what? This paper, now we just did it instead. Put that in past tense. This paper covered the background information, gave a discussion, and a recommendation for implementing a mandatory PT test in the Coast Guard. You don't have to get fancy. You can write the exact same thing. Motivation statement. Guess what? You could do the same thing. Oops. The CPO-MES should understand the importance of physical fitness because it provides a sound reason for implementing a mandatory PT test. Now, the only one that you can't do that with is your attention getter. But it's nice to try to tie it back to what you started out with. So imagine being in the military for 20 years and not doing a PT test. I just kind of made something up. So in the future, not doing a PT test in 20 years may never happen. So this is pretty much the nutshell of how to do the three-part communications when you're writing. Of course, you're going to fill in the information for background, the discussion, and then the recommendation. But what I've got right here is a basic template also for the outlines. I want you to write those sentences out for your attention getter, motivation statement, and overview. Because if you don't understand it, then I can see that. I want you to write out your transition sentences because then I can tell if you're grasping it or not grasping it. And then the same thing with your conclusion. I want you to write fully the summary, the remotivation, and the closing. But remember, it's really important. You need to have your main points must be listed in your overview. They must be listed in your summary. And you have to have the main point that you're closing, which is background here, and opening. Discussion here. And for this one, it's discussion and recommendation. We give you the main points in most of your assignments, so you need to use those. If you don't use those, we have a problem. So make sure that when you're doing this, you read the practical exercise completely and you understand what all the main points are. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. Thanks. Bye-bye.